Hello and welcome to Dental Studies Simplified. I am Dr. Ankita Kotecha and today's topic is role of bisphosphonates in periodontal patient management. Bisphosphonates are mainly considered for use in periodontal patients because of its sole property, that is bone sparing activity. What is it? We will understand. The first question is why? That is the rationale behind using bisphosphonates in periodontal patient management. As I said, bone sparing activity. That is why they are also called as bone sparing agents. The mechanism of action of bisphosphonates is such that it inhibits the osteoclast activity. Now how? That we will understand. Mainly there are various mechanisms. The first of which is primarily bisphosphonates binds with hydroxyapatite. So it prevents the dissolution of bone. That is, it keeps the bone intact. Secondly, it inhibits the osteoclast activation. So it prevents bone resorption. Thirdly, it enhances the osteoblast differentiation, thereby enhancing bone formation. And the last activity is anticollagenase activity. So it protects the organic components of bone and prevents its degradation. So owing to these four properties, the four mechanism of action towards bone, it overall protects the bone from resorption. That is why they are called bone sparing agents. And this sole property makes bisphosphonate eligible to be used in periodontal therapy, periodontal patients, because it prevents bone resorption. So mainly the disorders associated with bone resorption such as osteoporosis and for our concern periodontitis, that is the periodontal bone loss. So bisphosphonates are thus considered for utilizing in periodontal patient management and as a part of periodontal therapy precisely as a host modulating agent. Clear? The first question why, that is the rationale owing to its property bone sparing activity. So now we know that bisphosphonates are eligible for utilization in periodontal therapy or periodontal patient management. So next question is which bisphosphonates? There are many bisphosphonates, but the most researched and validated bisphosphonate that is with proven clinical outcomes is alendronate. There are many others, but alendronate is the most commonly researched and has proven clinical outcomes, both in terms of clinical parameters and the most important parameter, that is bone fill, increased percentage of bone fill. That is what is our target by using bisphosphonates. If we wanted improved clinical parameters, we have many other options. Why are we resorting to a relatively risky option, that is bisphosphonates? Because of its property of bone sparing activity. We want to preserve the bone, to prevent the bone loss, which is a hallmark of periodontal disease. And that is why we are considering the utility of bisphosphonates. Not just for improved clinical parameters, but we want bone fill, we want the prevention of bone loss, we want to arrest the bone loss, and we want benefits in terms of bone fill precisely. And that is why bisphosphonates. So the next question, which we have the answer, alendronate most commonly. There are many other, risedronate and others, atridronate also. But alendronate for now most commonly. So now that we know bisphosphonates can be used and alendronate is the most commonly researched and validated bisphosphonate for utility in periodontal patients. Now comes the next question, how? So the answer is there are two modes actually. Initially it all started with systemic administration, both in animal trials as well as human trials. Of course, this is the rationale. When animal trials shows promising results, only then they are permitted to be used on humans, that is human trials take place. And the mode of administration in animals particularly were oral, subcutaneous as well as intravenous. But in humans it was only oral administration of bisphosphonates. Although all the trials showed improved treatment outcomes, but as we all know, bisphosphonates, that is systemic administration, have many adverse effects. The most common is bisphosphonate related osteoradionecrosis of jaw, also gastrointestinal disturbances, that is drug induced esophagitis, hepatic toxicity, renal toxicity, ocular inflammation, dermatological disturbances and so on. Because of these adverse effects, to overcome these adverse effects, the next mode of drug delivery was proposed, that is local drug delivery. Again, as a host modulating agent only, but local administration, so as to overcome the adverse effects of systemic administration. Again, under local drug delivery administration, we have the most commonly researched alendronate 1% gel, and all the research trials, most of them are studied by Pradeep et al. Sir, that is 1% alendronate gel in various periodontal disease cases and various subject groups. That is, Pradeep et al. Sir has almost studied alendronate 1% gel in chronic periodontitis cases and in aggressive periodontitis cases, in healthy subjects as well as immunocompromised subjects, that is patients with type 2 diabetes. And in all the research trials conducted by him, he has reported improved treatment outcomes, both clinical as well as radiological. That is reduction in the probing depth, gain in the attachment level, and the most important, as I am emphasizing every now and then, increased percentage of bone fill. That is our sole target for using bisphosphonates in periodontal patient management. And Pradeep sir has reported this outcome, that is increased percentage of bone fill with 1% alendronate gel form. So this is the main role of bisphosphonates and the rationale behind using bisphosphonates in periodontal patients. That is alendronate systemically or locally, but with the main target of preserving bone and, if possible, gaining bone. Clear? The other advantages are yet to be researched, but few trials that have come to my notice are: one, that is anti-biofilm property. When Aggregatibacter actinomycetin comitant coated biofilms were introduced to bisphosphonates, the bisphosphonates reduced the biofilm formation significantly, although in a budding stage. But yes, this is an important finding, an important aspect for utilizing bisphosphonates in periodontal patient management. Anti-biofilm properties is definitely an added advantage. So this is another advantage of bisphosphonates. Yes, research has to be carried out in this direction. It is yet to be validated properly so as to be applied in the daily practice or clinical implications development. And the next advantage is with implants. When the bisphosphonate coated implants were tested against ordinary implants, that is non-coated implants, the implant stability quotient was markedly improved for bisphosphonate coated implant. Again, this finding can be attributed to the bone sparing activity, that is reduction in the bone resorption and enhancement of bone formation. So again, this is another applied aspect that can be explored, that is coating the implants with bisphosphonates and utilizing its bone sparing activity in case of implants. So these two advantages, although less researched, but yes, they provide us a zone of research. So it is mention worthy: antibiofilm activity and the implant stability improvement. Clear? So these are the applied aspects of bisphosphonates, mainly to gain the bone, that is increased percentage of bone fill either via systemic or local drug administration, antibiofilm properties and implant stability improvement. So now comes the last and the most important question, that is who? Not all patients are eligible to receive bisphosphonate. Again, the general guidelines must be followed, that is the patient must be evaluated systemically and dentally, that is periodontally, whether the case demands bisphosphonates. Where will you administer bisphosphonates if it is to be local? That is a presence of an intrabony defect or a furcation involvement. Clear? So this is the sole indication for administration of bisphosphonates in periodontal patients, patients with intrabony defects and furcation involvement. Clear? Not all patients are eligible to receive bisphosphonate. Again, if there is any medical condition or any other condition which contradicts the usage of bisphosphonates, then the patient should not be provided or administered bisphosphonates. So this has to be kept in mind, particularly who should be administered bisphosphonates. A quick summary: bisphosphonates are used in periodontal patient management mainly due to its property, that is bone sparing activity, its mechanism of action. Alendronate is the most commonly researched, evaluated and hence validated bisphosphonate with improved treatment outcomes, that is both in terms of clinical parameters and radiological parameters, that is increased percentage of bone fill. Again, there are two modes of administration, systemic and local. Owing to the adverse effects associated with systemic administration, local administration was proposed, that is 1% gel form of alendronate. The other applied aspects of bisphosphonates which are yet to be researched further are antibiofilm properties of bisphosphonate and improvement in the implant stability. And the last question, who are eligible to receive bisphosphonate therapy? Not all patients. Patients with intrabony defects and percussion involvement both in chronic periodontitis and aggressive periodontitis, preferably systemically healthy. Although immunocompromised patients are eligible to receive bisphosphonates, but they must be evaluated for the possible systemic adverse reactions and the drug interactions between their drug history, that is the drugs that they consume, and bisphosphonates. After thorough evaluation and ruling out the possible systemic adverse reactions and drug interactions, only then the patient should be administered bisphosphonates. So this completes the topic, role of bisphosphonates in periodontal patient management. I hope the topic is clear to you all, but if you still have any doubts or any queries, please ask me in the comment section below or mail them at dentalstudiessimplified@gmail.com. Thank you for watching and listening to me. Study well. Have a good day. Stay safe.